Tim, I do appreciate you coming in to sit down and talk with us. The idea behind this is sort of the start of what we call like a HYTORC podcast. And the idea behind it is we want to talk about everything from different services within industrial bolting, certain industries, and we really want to just kind of get that deep dive into it and better understanding of what's involved in that. And so we brought you in because we want to talk specifically about training within industrial bolting. To start with, if you can just kind of briefly introduce yourself, let us know about your role here, and go from there.
My name's Tim Kedzior. I've been involved in training for just a little over 28 years now. Worked in a couple regulated industries. I've been here at HYTORC for 3 years tomorrow.
Wow.
And really enjoy what I'm doing. It's nice that we can actually do what we're doing knowing we're helping people do their job better, more efficiently, safer.
Nice. And what brought you into sort of the world of training?
Just the thought that I would be able to help people out. Throughout my whole life, people say, oh, you should be a teacher, you should be a teacher. I've always had a knowledge of why, right? I always wanted to answer the question why. And in my experience in training, that typically is missing from the training. We tell you what to do, we tell you how to do it, but we don't explain the why behind it. And the why typically provides a lot of information that allows the learner to process that information and make sense of it and say, okay, now I get why I'm doing what I'm doing. So having that drive of always wanting to know why pushed me toward this direction. And as I got through my career further and further, I just went deeper and deeper into the training side of things, and I really, really enjoy it.
So then, what are some common reasons a company or someone within the company would say, we need to look into training?
Well, first of all, foremost is safety, right? Keeping the worker safe. My opinion, there's no job out there that's worth losing an eye or losing your hearing or losing fingers or limbs or potentially being fatal. So safety is absolutely the first one. Companies are in business to make money, and through training, we can teach these people to be more efficient, right? Typically, we can teach them to do their jobs faster, but that doesn't mean cutting corners. Okay. It just means doing better at what they do, and it allows them to do the job faster with the same high quality that would be expected out of any bolted joint. So with that, there's cost savings, right? Yeah. So businesses are in business to make money. They don't want to spend money. We can teach their people to be more efficient. We can shorten turnaround times. We can shorten shutdowns. We can basically save the company money. So there's lots of reasons why people would need training. Things change, right? I mean, 100 years ago, the pressures in the systems were a lot lower. Bolting was a lot less sophisticated. It was just grunt and tighten it up, and that's good enough. And a lot of advancements. We're doing a lot of data recovery. We're doing a lot of testing. We're doing a lot of things now that we weren't doing just decades ago. And so the process has changed. It's gotten more complex. And teaching these people how to use these electronic tools with data capture, automated tools, things like that, then they need to keep up with the times to make their job safe, to make their job high quality.
Okay. And there's two questions that kind of came to mind. One is, who is the training for? Like, is it for the engineer? Is it for the decision maker? Is it for everybody? What are your thoughts?
Well, luckily enough, we have 23 courses in our portfolio, and it goes right down from theory, the foundation, what's happening in the joint when you're actually turning the bolt or the nut. The physics, you're stretching the bolt. That's how you're getting the clamping force. Then we move up to the person who's never had one of these powerful tools in their hands before. And how do you go home with all your fingers? How do you stay safe using this? How does the tool actually operate? Then the next level up is somebody for a team lead, somebody who's directing other people, what to watch out for, how to keep your group safe, how to make sure that the product you're working on, the flange, the joint, the gaskets, the fasteners are adequate, that they're in good condition, things like that. And then we go all the way up to engineering courses. Okay. So no matter who you are in your company, we have some training that would fit right into your role.
And then you mentioned before how much things have changed, from that kind of old way to, we'll call it the new way of doing any kind of bolting whatsoever. What do you typically have to say to that person who's kind of like, well, we're doing it this way and it's fine, or it's good enough? Like, what would you typically say to somebody like that to really introduce them to kind of the new generation of, we'll say, bolting?
Well, a lot of times somebody in that situation has not been exposed to the new methodologies, the new tools, the new features on tools. So what I would typically tell them is, let's go through what's new, what has changed. Let me show you the differences now, and then we can find out later, did you learn something? Are you interested in this? Is this something that can help you out? And typically, by the time we introduce them to the newer methods, then there's like, oh, I didn't know that was even possible. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know that would speed things up or make it safer for me, right? So how long have impact wrenches been around, right? Everybody's been using impact wrenches for decades and decades and decades, and it's not till recently they started doing vibration studies and finding out that it's causing nerve damage. And there's only so long you can use those high vibration tools before something starts to happen to the nerves in your hands and your arms, and it can eventually be permanent. And these people just are not exposed to those types of things, and they don't realize, they don't know what they don't know. And then when you tell them what's new and what's different, then it opens their eyes, and they see the benefit to themselves as well as to their job, and they're really, really open to accepting the change because it makes sense to them.
Do you see a lot, for people coming to training, do you see a lot of those sort of like aha moments?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the most rewarding things about being in front of a group of learners is you not only know that you're helping them out somehow when they go back to their job, but when you see those aha moments, it's like, I got through. They understand it. I did this the right way. Because if you don't see those aha moments, to me, that's like, the material wasn't delivered in the right way. It's not the right material for them. It wasn't applicable, and there's something missing. I didn't do my job well enough. So you see those aha moments all the time, and it's really, really rewarding because it's a win-win for me as well for them.
And is there anything within the companies that end up sending somebody in for training? Is there any moment that makes them all of a sudden realize, I need training. We need to call up HYTORC or someone?
A couple good ones, and one I think is kind of a sad situation in a way. New employees, employee turnover, right? There's a lot of manual labor. A lot of places that are doing these types of job are outside. There's weather. There's things like that. So a lot of people don't like those types of jobs. There may be high turnover for whatever reason. And the big one, I shouldn't say the big one of the major ones in my mind, because I'm so interested in safety, is when somebody gets injured. Right. One of my instructors has a saying, it's like killing the snake after it bit you. Right. And you don't want somebody to get hurt for them to wake up and say, oh my gosh, I need training, I did something wrong. We want them to get the training prior. So knowing the efficiencies, knowing the cost savings, knowing the increase in safety, getting those messages across, that's going to mean something to somebody in the company, right? The worker with the tool in their hand, the safety is going to mean something to them. The efficiency, that's going to mean something to the scheduler. The cost saving, that's going to mean something to the owner of the company and saving money. So those are good reasons to come for training, because we can, in the long run, make you safer and save you money.
And what tends to be, or is the holdback? This is why somebody maybe doesn't come in for training. Does it tend to be a lack of awareness?
Well, there's lots of things. There is a lack of awareness. Right? I've been doing this for 30 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is. I know what I'm doing. I can do it with my eyes closed. I don't need to be trained. I hear a lot of times, we can train the trainers. We know more than the trainers. So there's some of that resistance. They don't know what they don't know. The other thing is money, right? They see a price tag and they say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And the third one is, now my people are away from their job. Do I shut down? Who do I get to cover this? What if something goes wrong at the site when they're in training? So there's a lot of those reasons that go into resistance to training. But once they come out of it, then they find out it was well worth it. You know,
Yeah.
just the safety, one injury, according to the latest National Safety Council statistics, any injury, the average cost of an injury is $40,000.
Wow.
And that's anywhere from a paper cut to broken bones, right? Something more serious. So you figure somebody getting hurt doing industrial bolting, it's going to be a little more than $40,000 injury by the time off, the doctor bills, all that kind of stuff. And then your insurance rates could possibly go up. OSHA could show up at your door and impose more training on you or impose some kind of regulation, something you have to satisfy before you can go back to work. So they look at the initial cost and say, oh my gosh, that's some money I don't need or don't want to spend. But in the long run, it's going to save them a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you know, and we had here with the employees here, we had the CPR training. Yes. And it's like, I did that and I do it in the hopes that I never have to use it.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to use it. That's definitely not. But God forbid something happens, I'm not going to be the one who just stands there going, somebody do something. You know, it's just like, I want to be prepared for that. And I feel like a lot of times with these companies, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, if everything's smooth sailing, no issues whatsoever, you're going to be like, we don't need training. And then something goes wrong, you're like, I wish everybody here was trained.
Right.
Yeah, so I can definitely see that. And so then, as far as people coming in for training, have you seen or have you experienced what sort of the long-term benefits are of somebody going through HYTORC training programs?
Confidence.
Yeah.
You see that grow. You know, some of our courses are a week long, and through the course of the week, you see that confidence building. You put a tool in somebody's hand and they're not quite sure what to do with it, they're not quite sure what to expect from it, they're not going to do such a great job, right? They're always going to be worried about things. When you get that confidence, you just go to it, right? You know what you're supposed to do, you know how you're supposed to do it, and you know what the outcome is supposed to be like. And you can see along the way if you're getting there. So we can train you to identify, is it going wrong?
Yeah.
So you can stop and fix it right then instead of waiting until you pressurize the system or turn the system on and find out there's a problem after. So confidence is definitely one of them. We talked about efficiencies before. If I know what I'm doing, if I'm well trained, I'm more efficient at my job.
Yeah.
I can do this job without slowing down. I know where the issues are. I know what to look out for. And at the end, it's going to be a high quality bolted joint. And I don't have to worry about it. You know, we always tell people, you don't want to be the person that they call back and say, hey, you messed this one up, can you redo it? How much does that cost you in reworking, right? How much does it slow down the start of the system or the plant? So just knowing that you're the guy that can be relied on to do the job right is really, really rewarding for these people. They walk out of here saying, yes, I can do a better job now. And then again, cost savings. I don't have to do that rework. I don't have to come back and do it again for free.
Yeah.
Contractors, right? They bid for jobs, and if they come into somebody else's site and they put things together, and then they have to redo it, it's on their own dime.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And
big cost savings.
And it's interesting too, because all those hesitancies that somebody might have where they say, well, you know, my team's going to be away for a long time, or the costs that are involved in that. And it's kind of funny because in the end, it's like, well, but when your team's trained, you will have less downtime.
Yes.
You know, the costs, for example, as well. You have less injuries and less downtime. The amount of money that you're saving there, where it's just like, okay, nobody wants to have to spend any money that they don't need to, and it's just like, but there's always that what if. You know, if things go wrong, if they don't go in the right direction, it's going to cost you more time, it's going to cost you more money, and I think that's where it becomes invaluable to do training.
Right.
Before you mentioned, you know, we have a bunch of different classes, you know, and is it sort of is it a pick and choose? Do you sometimes say, you know what, if somebody's just kind of getting started with training, here's sort of a path of courses you should try kind of jump into?
Well, it goes customer by customer, right? There's no one silver bullet to anybody's training or everybody's training. So when we get in contact with a customer, we like to have a discussion with them and say, what are you trying to solve with training? What's the issue, right? Or what are the multiple issues?
Yeah.
And then we go from there. So I've got new people. Okay, that's going to steer us toward a certain group of classes. And if they say, well, we've got seasoned people, they claim they know what they're doing, they've been trained before, but we've got problems with these joints, that's a whole different set of classes, right? That's a much higher level of expertise to be trained during those classes than somebody who's a new crew. So it's really, even though the courses themselves are not customized per the customer, the direction we go with the customer is customized for everybody. We start them out where they need to be, and there is a definite progression. So you can go from our Safe Bolter series up to our Bolting Assembler series as you get more experience, and then you can get into the QA/QC Supervision series where you're able to go out and inspect and be a team lead, things like that. So we do have the capability of having a progression of courses, but we're going to start the customer where their issue is best served, and we're going to make sure that they get what they want and not what we want to give them or what we think they should get. We really want to talk to them and make sure that they get exactly what they want.
And then when it comes to training, I mean, you might have some people who go, well, I found a training over here that's cheaper, or whatever the case might be. What differentiates HYTORC's training? What sets us apart from somewhere else?
A couple things. So first of our partnerships, right? We're partners with ASME, we're partners with TEACS, OSHA, and so that adds a lot of weight to what we're talking about. These training courses that we're delivering to these learners are approved by these organizations. We've worked many, many years with ASME to get in a partnership and to have these courses approved by them. We are a certified provider of ASME courses. We have gone through the interview process, the vetting for several of our instructors to be OSHA instructors, and they go out and teach this OSHA class as an OSHA instructor, not as a HYTORC associate. So when they're teaching this course, they're not a HYTORC associate. They are teaching exactly what OSHA has dictated needs to be taught for that class. So the partnerships are really, really strong. And through those partnerships, we've gotten a lot of connections with people on the standards committees. We partner with them and we make sure that all of our training materials meet or exceed the existing regulations or standards. All of our ASME courses meet or exceed the current PCC 1 2022 standard. And our training courses have a hands-on component, which is now required by the PCC 1 2022 standard. Where a lot of the cheaper courses, online courses, they don't have a hands-on component. And if you look in PCC 1, it says it must have an assessment at the end of a hands-on demonstration by the learner. So we're able to put these learners into a situation where they have their hands on the tools and they're actually they're manipulating the tools, they're opening, they're closing joints, they're changing gaskets, they're lubricating bolts, they're doing all the things they would normally do on the job in a controlled, safe environment. And a lot of our competitors can't say that they're partners, that they're certified, that they're meet or exceed the standards, or that they have a hands-on component.
Yeah, and I know that when we went through the product training here, and I remember there were, in my head I was like, oh, okay, I understand it. And then you go out and actually do it hands-on in a real sort of demonstration of that, and that's when it really clicks immediately, where you're like, all right, now I get it. One of the things I've seen so many times happen, and is with any sort of training course. I as a company, I'm like, you know what, this is a training course I want everyone to go through. You see it online, you want to buy it, and then you find out this thing hasn't been updated in 4 years. What do we usually do when it comes to making sure that the courses we have are kept up to date?
So as I said, we partner with ASME and TEACS OSHA, so we're in constant contact with them. We have on staff multiple experts in their field. We have people who actually are on boards to create the codes, to create the standards, to create the regulations. And so they have one foot in that process of creating those standards and regulations, and they have their other foot here at HYTORC, bringing that information back to us. One thing that I really enjoy about our classes is we take student feedback very, very seriously. What did you like about the course? What did you not? What were your expectations coming in? Did we meet those expectations? Where did we not meet the expectations? Was the language appropriate? Were the terms we used appropriate? Was this applicable? One of the biggest things about adult learning is for us to accept change, we have to be able to apply it to our job, apply it to our life somehow. And so if I cannot create a course that is applicable to your job, then you don't care. You're going to turn off and you're not going to learn much, if anything at all. So the feedback we get, we constantly are updating our courses through regulations, through standards, as well as through student feedback.
Yeah, and I noticed even the one that we took, we were the first class being trained after, quite literally just after a new product launch, one of the ones right behind us here, and it was already included in the training. Yeah. And I was actually really surprised. I was like, I figured this was going to be, I don't know, a month, 2 months off or something, and it's like, no, not only was it in the training, but we got to get hands-on with it. And I was like, that's awesome. That's incredible.
Having contact with these experts in the field, they let us know what's coming. They let us know what the hot topics are. Yep. They let us know what the problems in the field are. And then we're able to adapt our tools and our processes and our training to those things. You guys are in wind. Here's what we can teach you about wind. Here's what we're hearing on the wire right now. This is the hot topic right now. This is how we can solve that problem for you. So just being open to accepting a lot of feedback from a lot of different places and having contact with so many SMEs in their own field, it's invaluable.
And then if there's somebody who's still on the fence, they shouldn't be after everything you said, but if they still are on the fence, it's like, what do you say to somebody like that? What do you say to them to at least be like, look, you should, for your company, for the project you're working on, start looking into this. Is there anything more that you can even say to that?
The best thing that I can do is try to talk them through a scenario, right? You go to work, you do this, you do that, everything's fine, but could it be better? What if this happened? What if you made this change? What if you could do that same job and extend the time between maintenance periods, right? That joint vibrates loose every 5 months on you. We can teach you a way to make sure it doesn't vibrate loose for a year. Yeah. How would that help your job, right? You could go on and do other things. You could, right, make other improvements around the plant or around your site. So it's just basically connecting with them what they do and showing them, not through, oh, it's just what I'm telling you, but let's go put our hands on it. I'll show you how to do this. You can actually do it for yourself, and you can see the benefits of what we're telling you.
Yeah. So, and I think what you said before too, we were talking about is, the what ifs, but the what ifs we were talking about were more on the negative side, but there's also the what ifs on the good side. It's like, well, what if things were better in this way, shape, or form? Because I feel like a lot of times we find this out constantly is that lack of awareness that something better exists or a better way exists. And I think that's especially where training gets so amazing is you're not just going, here's how you use a product. It's like, here's what this can do for you. And I feel like a lot of times, I'm sure you've even maybe experienced this firsthand, where somebody comes in and it's like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah.
We had a large oil and gas company out of Brazil call us up, and through one of our, some of our people in Brazil, and they were using a single tool on a flange, and it was taking them 4.5, 5 hours to close this joint. And they said, is there a faster way? And we said, absolutely, there's multiple things we can do. And so what we did is we actually shot a couple videos showing them the alternative ways of closing this joint faster. One using different fasteners, one using multiple tools, and we sent the video off to our people. They showed it to the customers, and they said that we had no idea. Wow. We would have never thought of this. We had no idea this would work, and we cut their job down to about 45 minutes. So
wow. Bit of a difference.
Bit of a difference. Yeah.
That's amazing. And then, what are the steps for someone to take so that they can, whether it's their team or themselves, how do they get started with training?
Well, one of the easiest ways is go to the HYTORC website, right? HYTORC.com. You can go to the services tab, and you'll find training under the services tab, and there's a little questionnaire, and it's 3 fields, just who are you, what's your email address, and what do you want to know, right? And all you have to do is say, email me, and let's start a discussion about training, right? And that's exactly what we'll do. I see the emails every day. I'll call you back and say, this is when I'm available. Let me know if you want to talk. We'll have a discussion. Like I said, everything is customized to the customer. We'll go through an interview process. What issues are you trying to solve? What problems are you having? What do you think needs improvement? Whatever it is on your side, let us know, and then we can start steering you toward a certain class or a group of classes. And we also customize courses. So somebody just called last week and said, we want a safe bolting class, but we only want to use the manual click type torque wrenches. It's not what we typically do, but if that's what the customer wants, because that's the only tool they own, and absolutely, we will do just that.
The classes that we do offer, are they only in-house, or can we go to them? What are the different options?
So most of the time when we get training requests, it's multiple people for a single company. So what they would like us to do is go there. It's less expensive for them to send one of us there than a group here. We can do both. We've got a 2,000 square foot bolting center fully stocked with all of our equipment, flanges, all things like that. So we definitely can do bolting classes here, and we do them regularly. But the majority of the time, I would say probably 70% of the time, 80% of the time, we are traveling to a customer site.
Wow.
We throw our equipment in a travel kit, we wrap up a flange, we get them shipped out. The instructor shows up at the customer site a day ahead of time, sets everything up. We do the training, pack it up, ship it back.
Wow, that makes it simple.
Yeah, it does. They don't have to worry about anything. We've got all the right equipment, and it's just a course in a box. It's really very simple for the customer.
And then the sort of last question really is there anything else you'd want to add or anything else you'd want to mention when it comes to training in general, training with HYTORC?
I think the first thing I'd like to mention is just talk to us.
Yeah.
Right? One of the things I really love about working at HYTORC is they gave me the freedom to do training the right way. Right? And we're not trying to sell you tools. The training is not a sales pitch. We're going to use tools, right? We'll use click wrenches, we'll use all kinds of things, but we're not going to say you need to buy these, you need to buy this one because. We're going to put them in your hands, you make up your own mind on that. My job is to make sure that you can use any of these power tools safely, efficiently, and do a high quality job. So it's nice that we can connect with a customer and satisfy their need. Right? Give them what they want. And I think that's one of the most rewarding things of my job is being able to actually help a customer, not just sell them something.
Yeah, and I think that's an awesome note to end on, especially is that, it's not a sales pitch, that our concerns really are about helping out the customers,
Absolutely.
about safety, because I feel like that's what a lot of people look at. They go, HYTORC training means they leave and we kind of stranglehold them and be like, well, first you got to buy the product.
Right.
It's like, no, we just want you to understand the best way of doing these things, the best way of handling yourself out in the field. And if you choose to work with HYTORC, awesome.
Right.
But at least in the end, they are safer. That is going to lead to less downtime. It's going to lead to all positive benefits really all around.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I keep hearing ever since day one when I joined HYTORC is it's all about customer relationships, and training is the same way. We want to build that relationship. We want to do the right thing for the customer, and if we do the right thing for the customer, they come back. And last year, 46% of our training was repeat customers.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, on that, I think we can kind of end it here. I do really appreciate that you coming in.
My pleasure.
Have a chat and talk about training. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
Here's your thumbnail.